Sasha, good to have you tonight. What do we know about what Hamas has and has not agreed to?
Well, Sarah, as you say, this is billed as an acceptance of Trump's 20-point peace plan that he put out earlier this week. But there are still many questions and sort of fuzzy areas that we're not sure where they're going. Yes, Hamas has agreed to release the hostages, all of the hostages, and they've agreed to hand over power as that plan lays out. But there's a lot of negotiations and details that are still up in the air on those 2 points. And on another critical point, whether they will disarm, they say that they won't do that until Israel completely pulls out of Gaza. And that is not the way the plan is written. It's actually written the other way around, that Hamas disarms first, and then gradually Israel will pull out. So a lot of questions, but this is being welcomed by Donald Trump already. He doesn't seem to see, or at least not mention, some of these negotiating things that still need to be worked out. This is what he had to say just really quite recently.
This is a big day. We'll see how it all turns out. We have to get the final word down and concrete. Very importantly, I look forward to having the hostages come home to their parents and having some of the hostages, unfortunately, you know the condition they're in, come home likewise to their parents, because their parents wanted them just as much as though that young man or young woman were alive. So I just want to let you know that this is a very special day, maybe unprecedented in many ways. It is unprecedented.
Now, interestingly, when he made his post about this online, he said that Israel must stop bombing Gaza immediately so that the hostages could start to be released. And that's something that we haven't heard of before. Certainly in Israel, there hasn't been any reaction yet. It's after midnight here, but this might be coming as a bit of a surprise. All of this suggests that there's been a lot of behind-the-scenes discussions this week involving the other mediators, Qatar and Egypt, and it follows up on suggestions by the White House, by spokeswoman Carolyn Levitt earlier this week, that some delicate talks were going on already.
Sasha, I also listened to that response from Donald Trump, and he goes on and he almost talks about things in the past tense, as if things are really moving forward here quite quickly. Where do you think this leaves the peace process?
Well, that's an open question. He's been speaking several times over the past couple of weeks about how close this deal is to being signed, and it's not clear how much that's wishful thinking and how much that's reality. He obviously has the power, the ability to force some of these players to move in the right direction, perhaps mostly right here in Israel with Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. And there are already analysts, observers who are looking at this and seeing a scenario where Trump could be actually pushing Netanyahu in a direction that he might not want to go. This is what one of them had to say.
Donald wants peace, and he's really putting Bibi into a corner now. Very difficult to say no to Donald Trump, but his coalition partners have already criticized him heavily for the phone call to Qatar, for agreeing to the deal as it is. So he's now squeezed pretty tight between these two forces. And we'll see just how much power and pressure Donald Trump has if he is going to follow through on this truth tweet.
Now, the problem with all of this is that we've kind of been here before with Hamas suggesting that they will accept things, but there have to be some changes. Israel saying the same sort of thing. And Hamas's position right now doesn't really sound that different from earlier positions which have been rejected by both the U.S. and Israel. So, Trump may have clout and may have the ability to push Israel. It's not clear how much he actually has that ability, that same ability, to push Hamas into an actual agreement where they give up some of these things that they've been demanding. Sarah?
Sasha, thanks for that. Okay, so for more analysis, I'm joined now by Kamran Bokhari in Washington. He is the Senior Director at the New Lines Institute for Strategy and Policy. Thank you so much for your time.
Thanks for having me, Sarah.
Okay, so Channel 12 is citing an Israeli official right now who says Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu is, quote, surprised by Trump's statement that he has just very recently made on Truth Social that Hamas is ready for lasting peace. What is your take on what we're seeing play out? And it's only really just we're watching it happen in real time here.
So, look, this is a very difficult thing. I mean, you have two adversaries that have been fighting each other, and it's never going to be easy. So, and then there are other stakeholders involved in it. Mind you, there are Arab and Muslim countries that are involved in this process as well. So it's bringing all these different players together on the same page is difficult. And the president wants to see this happen. And I think he has some assurances that this will pull through. You have to understand there is the deal itself, and then there is the engineering of the deal. I think the phase that we're in right now is the engineering. And it's messy. It's never going to be clean cut. And of course, the president has his style of directly addressing, which does interfere with the domestic political calculi of both the Israeli prime minister as well as his coalition partners in the Arab and Muslim world.
I want to ask you about Trump's style in just a moment here, but I think what we do know here is that Hamas is agreeing to parts of Trump's ceasefire proposal, including the release of remaining hostages. Where does that sit with you in terms of, we heard him talk about this being an unprecedented step or moment right now?
So I think Hamas understands that it's in a difficult position. Its government is gone. There's not much left of it. Whatever's left is probably subterranean in the tunnels. They definitely know that they can't win this militarily. So what they're trying to do is salvage themselves as a political and social movement. How do you do that is very difficult because the Israelis have made it clear, the President of the United States has made it clear, the Arab and Muslim states also don't want Hamas to be part of the next government, if you will, whatever that authority will look like whenever it takes place. So they're trying to salvage themselves. Now they have to, they also have an imperative to not look like they're capitulating. So this is them haggling over details. Okay, so when are you going to surrender the weapons? Will it be before the withdrawal of Israeli forces? Will it be after? So I see this as sort of last minute haggling because I just don't see. The other option is, and the president made it very clear, that if Hamas does not agree, then, the Israelis will go back to the military option. And that's not something that Hamas is ready to do. It's under a lot of pressure from the people of Gaza. It's under a lot of pressure from the Arab and Muslim states that are mediating and are willing to step in once it steps down. We're looking at the engineering deal again.
Kamran, given the, as you point out, delicate nature here, this haggling over the details, and those are some pretty important details, I think, to both sides of this. Listen, Donald Trump, I think we all know, has a very different style from most world leaders that we have seen in the past. He is direct, and he is, in his most recent message, saying directly what he wants to have happen out loud and to the world. Is that helpful? Do we know if that's going to be helpful? What do you make of that way he's doing this?
Well, I don't know if it's helpful or it's counterproductive, but it is what it is. He is the president of the United States. That is his style, and we've come this far. So I think that considering the imperatives and the constraints of all parties to the conflict, the Israelis, Hamas, the Arab Muslim states, the United States itself being sort of the driver of this peace deal, I think they all have to come together. And this is the reality that the president has to deal with and the world has to deal with. I mean, notice the Hamas statement that was made public that, they're also expressing, appreciation for what the president is doing. So it does seem like everything that I'm seeing seems like this is going to go through. When and in what form is unclear. But look, I never say never. And so it's an uncertain situation. So it could easily fall apart. But I think that if it falls apart, then that's not going to be good for Hamas. So it's in its interest to make sure that this goes through, because otherwise, it's more military conflict, and that's not good for them.
Well, it's a situation we continue to obviously monitor very closely this hour and next, and it's been really great to have your thoughts on this. Kamran Bokhari, Senior Director at New Lines Institute for Strategy and Policy in Washington. Really appreciate your